like, whoa, it actually worked. You know, they really actually took me seriously. But coaching is about personal lives. And people come to you because they want help. And in coaching, you use a framework which has been proven over and over again that it works. So most of the time, 98%, I can say it's 98% successful. It's completely different.
Do you believe it's such difference because like in business, you just need to control more of if your advices are being implemented, and in personal life, it's more about like trusting.
Yes.
That people trust you.
Yes. But the kind of consultancy I do is with development. It's really about different contexts. And also trust comes in very high. Trust also plays a big role. It's just not not just your instruments, what you're using, your tools.
So what is about this personal consultancy? Is that about more about like career, or is that like more personal consultancy about the lifestyle?
It's about, let's say, you get an assignment to go and do an evaluation of a project. Let's say there was a project which was funded to implement something. Then you get a consultancy to go and evaluate whether they have implemented the goals they set to do. That kind of consultancy is the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I describe consultancy as prescriptive and coaching as descriptive. It kind of like goes to what Julia just said. No, it's a question of okay, well, consultancy, this is a prescription of what is.
Yes.
Or what should be in terms of what is.
What should be, yes.
Yeah, what should be in terms of what is. And coaching, of course, is descriptive. This is what should be.
Yes.
Because this is where you're coming from.
Yes.
In some ways, yeah. And so in writing Invisible No More,
yes.
How did the experiences that you've had during the 5 years you said you had depression, how did that translate into your writings?
Yes. So Invisible No More, I tell shortly about my story of how I found myself in depression. And then I start with my process of getting out of the depression. So in the first chapter, I write about how I came out of denial, and I talk to people how to come out of denial. You know, like the first chapter is about reality check. So I tell you my story about how I was in depression, and then this is really a workbook, like how do you get reality check? So chapter 1 is about reality check, and then I've written about the process I went to have a reality check and to get it, that my life was unmanageable and I needed to get some change. So in that sense, my life really, I have poured my life in this book because it is the process that I went through. And I believe that process is if anyone reads that book, if you go through that process, you will also get the same results. That's why I call it a workbook. For anybody who wants any change, actually, in their life, you don't need to be depressed. Like when I went in, I just thought, well, actually, when I went to get for help is because I had problems in my marriage. My marriage was falling apart. And it's only until we went for this help that I realized, whoa, I've been depressed for 5 years. Yes. Right. So all the different chapters are about the different processes that you go through to get out of depression, addiction, anything you want to change in your life. But it's informed by my process that I went through.
Yeah, before we came on, we're discussing, Julia, we're discussing about addiction and how addiction in itself, because I watched some of your videos you were mentioning, well, quite a whole lot of content you have on your website, and I would encourage everyone to check out on the website. We are going to plug the website and how you can actually get really good videos and good teachings on all of the subjects that have to deal with the book itself. But the question I have, right, for depression is, or for addiction is, do you think that the foundation of depression is addiction? Do you think that there is a foundational element of that?
I don't know I can really say depression. We have to be very careful not to minimize the fact that there are some people who are depressed because they have chemical imbalance. So let's put that aside, you know,
right.
Really people who get depressed because they have chemical imbalance. I think for me, if you have any addiction, it is an indication of something that is not going on in your life. It doesn't necessarily have to be depression, but it is what I call pain. You have some pain somewhere, emotional pain. And that pain, to control that pain, to numb, actually addiction, I believe addiction is to numb that pain. You get into doing different things. And what do I mean by pain? In my own case, because I was in depression and I didn't have any joy, any happiness, anything, I was very irritable. So every time I argued with somebody, if you argue with somebody, that you are left with a feeling, a bad feeling, that is a pain. So you can imagine I was a rolling ball of pains because I was forever quarreling at home. At work, I was forever having conflicts with colleagues. You know, at work, I had this, how can you call it, dysfunction of all the time carrying myself in some sort of superiority complex, you know. That shows there's something not okay with you in your soul inside, and that is the pain, and that is what I would not call it depression. I think for me, the mark of depression is sadness, lack of joy, and really, I could not see color. You can imagine how Netherlands is beautiful. I think really Netherlands is the most beautiful country in the whole world. I've traveled everywhere, so I just don't say it as a cliche. I think it's really beautiful. I could not see that beauty because somehow when you're depressed, it's like it darkens your vision, it darkens your sight. But depression can cause that pain, you know, or that pain can cause depression. So, but for addiction is really to numb some pain somewhere, something that's not going well, and you don't know what to do with it. So you start a habit. I got into a habit of chatting. I was at work, a workaholic, working. When I was at home, instead of connecting with my husband and my son, I was seriously wanted to go to a place where I don't have to think about anything or anyone. I wanted to go to this place like a place like it's going to the, you know, like a place like it's just monologue, you know, lost in something that I don't have to think anything. So I used to go into a chat room and just talk with anybody about anything, funny and laugh and you know. So I really became addicted with chats, in chats. By then, when was that? That is up to 2008 or something like that, 2009. But then there wasn't all this hype about Facebook and Instagram and all that. So by that time, there was a lot of chat rooms. So I was in many chat rooms chatting.
Chat rooms were more popular then, yeah.
Yeah, at what stage have you realized you have this depression? Because, you know, there's people like maybe what would you advise to people that are maybe doubting? Is that a depression which is lasting for so long, or maybe that just when you don't see just few days maybe? What would you advise to people who don't see that color of life?
If you don't have joy, not only for 1 year, but I didn't have to have joy for 5 years. You are in a country or you're in a position you don't like it for 5 years, that is an indication there's something very wrong. And you know, the problem with me then, I didn't believe in going for help. I had come from Africa where therapy was looked like for mad people, you know,
Yeah.
and problems. So I wouldn't go for therapy. I wouldn't, even why I ended up in a coaching program is because in a coaching program, then I knew I had control of how I got my own recovery. You know, I had control. I didn't just sit down and I have this. I had a very funny idea about therapists, you know. And I remember once I went to a therapy and she was just talking and she couldn't connect with me. And I thought, no, this is not for me. But the thing is, people have to completely forget about these myths about looking for help. Forget about all those myths. Just go out and look for help. Go out, there's enough help. You can get free help, you can get paid help, you can get the help you want. If you want a therapy, you can get coaching programs. Those people who want to join coaching, you can come to my program. There's so many coaching online. Just make sure you check the person if they have done it for some time, you know. But my advice is, if you have an addiction, overeating, you don't have joy, you're over smoking, you're drinking, you are always lashing out at people, quarreling with people for years, even you know you want to stop it, but you can't stop it. That means there is something else driving it. That's why you can't stop it. And you cannot get well until you get to the root of what is that is driving it. Because if you don't do that, then my depression came to a point where it was the one that was running my life. And my marriage was falling apart. At my work, I didn't have good relationships. That already is telling you a lot. And you don't have to live an unhappy life, an unfulfilled life, an unhappy life like that. And if you can't even come out of the room, there's so many, we know a lot of these signs, but we rationalize. Oh, it's just for a short time, or it's just for now, or I can come out of it if I want. You know, that's what we tell ourselves, but it's not true. If you have, especially with this COVID period, if 2020, 2021, all these lockdowns and whatever have put you in a lifestyle that you are not happy with it,